Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today I wanted to share with you guys a build idea that I've been experimenting with, and it's one that really helps me play very aggressively. Now, for those of you who know, this build is nothing new, but it does have a few items that I believe add some, I would say, seasoning to it, in sense of it's not something that ideally a lot of people would run because, you know, in their minds they have their reservations as to why some of these pieces may not be the most ideal pieces or combinations. But to me, I prefer to run a build because it sounds like fun to me, and it's something that I've actually thought about in the past that I never really had time to run. But, you know, being on holiday, it's really fun to experiment on what a build like this can look like. So what you're seeing here is my run through Lincoln Memorial on Heroic. I'm pretty much just, playing as aggressively as I can, plowing through enemy NPCs, beating on all of them. It's actually quite fun, because one of the things about the Division game is, you can play in multiple varying ways. And I finally have gotten to the point where I feel a lot more, I would say I have a lot more time now to try out, say, builds like Hunter's Fury and, some of the other cohorts in terms of, damage, weapon damage, and all of the above. So this build combination uses a whole lot of things to give me that aggressive playstyle that I actually want, and the one that I'm actually quite comfortable with. So let's take a look at the build, and I'm going to upload this footage for you guys and put the link in the description below so that you guys can pretty much see what this build is about. So for today, what I'm going to be using is the Hunter's Fury, gear set. And Hunter's Fury gear set is actually a gear set that is aimed to giving you a better run on your SMGs and your shotguns at the same time. In fact, 2 pieces of any Hunter's Fury items that you put on will give you 15% shotgun damage. It will also give you 15% SMG damage. It will also give you 20% armor on kill whenever you take out an enemy NPC, and 100% health on kill if you're using 3 pieces. This is very, very important. I know many people try to run, Hunter's Fury with all kinds of different gimmicks, but the idea behind this build is you're able to at least take out an enemy NPC as fast as you possibly can, in order for you to be able to gain back your armor when you need it. And so that's what you're going to put your mind on more than anything. Now, there are different variations of this build with Hunter's Fury that will actually grant you a lot more of that recycling of your armor. But like I've said, this is the way that I want to run it, and I think there's a lot of fun here. So just stay with me as we continue to go on the different pieces with this Hunter's Fury gear set. So like I said, the 3 pieces will give you all of that fun stuff. Now, some of you who are, intuitive, you've probably caught one of the highlights of this build, but let's keep going with the 4 pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you about that. So the 4 pieces gives you the Apex Predator buff. This buff states that, enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff, amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. This is already a gift. If your weapon damage is already amplified, that means your weapon damage is multiplicative at this point. So your weapon damage multiplied by 20% is what you're going to be gaining at that point. So that's actually pretty good. Killing a debuffed enemy with your weapon disorients other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds. This can stack up to 5 times. So you can pretty much do that. You can get an extra amplified weapon damage, that can stack for 10 seconds, and this can stack basically 5 times. So you have the opportunity to be able to gain extra amplified damage on your weapon on top of that. So this is a really huge deal. So you're going to try to get in there, try to take out your enemies, and then make sure that that debuff is being spread. Make sure that you're taking out enemies that are pretty much, disoriented as well, and try to get your weapon damage amplified. So this is the beauty of the Hunter's Fury gear set. Now, I used the chest piece on this particular build because I wanted to be able to increase my, duration of my Apex Predator stacks from 10 seconds to 30 seconds, so I can pretty much recycle all of that. And so that's one of the reasons I went with the chest piece. Now, granted, I could go with another chest piece, but it would have changed my entire build pattern overall. And then I used the Memento backpack because I just wanted to get the extra weapon damage and the extra armor more than anything else. So that's actually nice. Also, skill tier is a plus. You can use it however you want. that's also something that you can think about when you're building this particular build. And then my mods are going to pretty much be the giveaway. They give me armor on kill on every single mod that I use. And I forgot to add my mod on my mask when I played the mission. I didn't even notice it. But I guess, you know, the extra armor on kill mod would have really made a big difference. Or at least maybe made a significant enough difference depending on how I built if I didn't have armor on kill in the places that I did stack them on. So use your armor on kill mods. That's what's going to pretty much benefit you here. And so that's what I want to pretty much highlight, because that's missing on the build that I used to run the mission. And then for the highlight of the show, we have the Death Grips holster. Now, everybody knows that the 511 pieces are all whack. They don't really give you much. They give you 10% health, they give you 20% incoming damage, and they give you 10% hazard protection for 3 pieces. 511 is basically the bottom tier of the entirety of the brand sets, except for one piece that is pretty much, I would call it top tier if you're able to get yourself a really good roll of this particular piece. This is the named 511 holster called the Death Grips. This holster grants you 10% armor on kill as one of its attributes, and that's all it does. It gives you a full-blown armor on kill, and it's your job to find a good one that you can roll to get all the stats that you want. So a piece like this, you're going to spend time optimizing, because to get a max rolled one is no easy feat. I have not seen anybody that was able to get a max rolled one to drop for them. Some people may have them in this game. If you do, let us know in the comment section. But I can tell you that I have about 3 of them that I've been able to get, and none of them have the max rolls other than the armor on kill. Now, this is a Dark Zone exclusive item. You can get it from Dark Zone caches. You can get it from a Dark Zone vendor when they're doing the rotation of whatever they're selling, but you have to have Dark Zone credits to purchase it. And I say I have 3, sorry, I have 4, and I don't have one that's actually really max rolled. I think this might be the best one that I have when it comes to the stats and their rolls, but again, like I said, you're going to be spending your time trying to optimize this to get the very best out of it. Yes, it does have one attribute that's already been max rolled for you, so that's not really a big deal. It's just the work in optimizing that will take you some time. Now, when you think about all of what I have going on, the Death Grips gives me that 10% armor on kill. Also, for my weapon, I'm using the named SX called the Mop. This mop also gives me 10% armor on kill. So at this point, what am I sitting on? 20% from Hunter's Fury, 10% from Death Grips, and 10% from the Mop. We're now looking at 40% armor on kill. Now, you may think armor on kill, you know, before I take out an enemy NPC, it doesn't really work for me, but that's not the case. Each when I use this weapon, the Mop gives me 1,000,000 damage straight up, base damage. That's not with headshots or anything else. So this particular Mop is pretty much a workaholic. It also has pumped up, which says reloading grants weapon damage for 10 seconds, grants you 1% weapon damage for 10 seconds. And this can stack up to 25 times. So say I had a weapon handling, any weapon handling buffs that was giving me those faster reloads or whatever, that's one way to go. And then if you don't have those buffs, your next bet is to use the gunner specialization. So the gunner specialization is also another highlight of this particular build because of a good number of things that I feel are very important to highlight. So one thing with gunner is gunner has a reload mechanic when you're looking at your gunner skill tree. It also has an armor on kill mechanic that also grants you bonus armor when you take down an enemy NPC. So some of these bonuses, when you kind of compile them together, you're looking at a very aggressive build that you can play on heroic. That's not really going to cost you a lot. That's going to basically reward you for going out there to take out enemy NPCs. So check this out. This is the incessant passive talent, a tier 3 passive talent. When you max it out, it gives you 10% armor for taking out an enemy NPC. So that's actually pretty good. You also have the coupler. This says every third reload is 50% faster. So you can pretty much stack up those reloads to grant you some really solid reloads going on, and that's very, very good. So these are some of the things that the gunner specialization actually is very good for. Also, when you kill an enemy NPCs, it gives you this barrage, which basically increases your rate of fire by 5% on kills for 5 seconds. So as you're taking out enemy NPCs, you're getting armor back, you're getting faster reloads when you're running out of bullets, and you're also increasing your rate of fire. Ladies and gentlemen, The Division is a game where if you're using your weapon, any weapon you're using, rate of fire is something that you must consider every single time. So that's pretty much something that you must, take into account. That is not just something that's trivial. 5%, 2%, even an extra 1% rate of fire is a huge difference, because if your per bullet damage is really high, you really want those rounds coming out as fast as you possibly can. Imagine if you have a weapon that can hit 1 million and you have a split second to be able to land that, damage, or, maybe it disperses. Maybe the pellets are like, I would say 200 and something thousand a piece, and you have 5 pellets per shot. You really need those pellets to come out as fast as possible. So rate of fire really does the work for you. And then you also have the supply line talent, which basically generates 10% of your total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. Party members, if you're in a group, will get 5%. They'll recover 5% of their ammo capacity as well. So that's also a big deal. You don't have to really run around and be reloading all of the time. So this particular build grants you a really strong bonus that I would say, is something that you must pay attention to when you're pretty much, when you're building with this paradigm in mind. So the beauty about this particular build is the aggressiveness and the aggressive play style that you can play while getting rewarded. I remember a lot of people said, Outriders is the game that, cover is for, you don't have to be in cover, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I am using a shield in a division. I know you're going to tell me that, but whatever. You can build a stronger version of this. It doesn't require you to have a shield in heroic difficulty. And so I believe you can actually gain that play style in the division with a lot more satisfaction, if you were to ask me. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on Outriders, but it's not like there's anything really unique that they've done that anybody, can't do in the division, if you were to ask me. Perhaps maybe you put it on some other aspects. But again, enough of that. You also have to kind of pay attention to what you're benefiting from all of this when you're looking at the division. Now, one final thing is the Memento backpack and its buffs and bonuses that you're also gaining in this aggressive build and aggressive play style. This build is not this is one of those 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensional builds, because it just has so many things to it. And so with your kill confirmed, which is basically this, enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provides you both a short and long-term buff, the first of which scales with a number of core attributes equipped and lasts 10 seconds. So I'm getting 5% weapon damage when I pick these things up. I'm getting an extra 10% weapon bonus armor, and it stacks with the amount of stacks that I rolled. So I have 2 armor stacks. So that 10% bonus armor is already going to stack, and I get a bonus on top of it. So that's why it's good. So I was thinking of possibly rolling this to have more weapon damage. But then I thought about, I was like, it might be worthwhile to actually optimize the armor and then optimize my critical hits and critical hit damage or whatever it is I need more than anything here. Because eventually I'm going to be trying my best to spec this build to the max where I'm able to get the most out of the damage. But again, that's something that I'm kind of working on at the meantime. So I'm still undecided, but having these pieces together is really giving you the clue on what this is about. And then if your skill efficiency pretty much is increased by 5% when you pick this stuff up. Skill efficiency, I think, is a total of skill damage, skill haste, and skill duration. I think there's a buff that gives you. And so every trophy you collect, you get an additional 1% weapon damage, 1% skill efficiency, and 0.1% armor regeneration for 300 seconds. The maximum stack is 30 stacks. So you think about all of this, you put it together. I think this is a way to be able to run a very fun build. I'm also using the killer SMG. I tried to use the backfire, but then I was missing out on, the stacks and all. It does have a decent enough base damage that you can also enjoy it, no doubt. But 1200 RPM, like I said, is just something that I could not pass up. The perfect killer talent says when you kill an enemy with a critical hit, it grants you 50% critical hit damage for 10 seconds. So you consider all of this and you think about it, man, it really does make sense. It's worth your time to run a build like this, because I really did shred a lot. I mean, when you watch this particular clip from start to end, I started out with the backfire, but then I decided, let me change to the killer. Let me see exactly what's going on. And behold, the killer did not disappoint me. The is it called the perfect killer or whatever the name? The perfect killer talent, on the I forgot the name, on the Dark Winner SMG. Sorry, I mixed that up. The Dark Winner did not disappoint me, because this perfect killer talent was also showing up. Even though I didn't have a lot of crits all stacked up, I was able to do some really, I was able to make quick work of the enemy NPCs when it came down to it. So I recommend this build. Try it. Let me know your variations in the comment section. It's actually something that is, it's not new, but people are running these things differently. And Hunter's Killer, Hunter's Fury is also pretty good when you're running in the Dark Zone, but it's a whole different way to run it. This is not the way I think a lot of people will probably run Hunter's Fury. They'll usually use the Lady Death in PvP, so that's a whole different ball game. I'm not really into the PvP in the Division, if you guys know me. But again, like I said, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear what your combinations are, and we'll talk in another video. Check the link for the gameplay. Peace.